I was in Berkeley. I saw on television the terrible Bloody Sunday. Just incredible to me that in our society there should be such violence, public violence as that. I knew something was wrong and I wanted to speak up in some way, do something. The next morning, I heard on the radio Martin Luther King asking clergy to come to Selma the next day. I looked around and saw Jim and Orloff, and we decided, the three of us, that we would try to have dinner together. We went to the restaurant, an integrated restaurant, just for that day. When we decided to leave, and the three of us then started walking back to the Brown Chapel. We saw 3 or 4 men who came across the street at us. We saw that one of them was carrying a club of some kind. They were right behind us, and I turned and looked at them, and I saw one of them swing the club, just bang, hitting Jim on the side of his head. Jim was lying there, babbling, incoherent, and he squeezed my hand tighter and tighter, and then I felt his hand go limp, and he went unconscious. Thousands of people gathered in various cities. There was headlines all across the country about the attack on this white clergy. But the whole voting rights march, that is the march from Selma to Montgomery, was originally organized to honor Jimmy Lee Jackson, a young black man who had been killed by a state trooper. But there wasn't much attention paid to Jimmy Lee Jackson by the broader American public, nor by the president. I learned years later that in reference to Jimmy Lee Jackson's death, President Johnson had not one telephone call. He didn't initiate one, didn't receive one. In reference to the attack on Jim Reeb and his death and so on, Johnson had 57 phone calls. The president realized that this was the moment to urge passage of the voting rights bill.
So it was last week in Selma, Alabama. There, long-suffering men and women peacefully protested the denial of their rights as Americans. Many were brutally assaulted. One good man, a man of God, was killed.
So he made specific reference to Jim Reeb.
Really, it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice, and we shall overcome.
Ladies and gentlemen.